Hey, gang, happy Thursday. There are a good bunch of you guys already in and people coming in real time. Good to see you all. Just a couple of notes. You'll notice that, well, first of all, Danielle looks nothing like herself today. And for a lot of people, it's an improvement. I have to say that, but there it is. What we thought we would do in Danielle's absence is that we thought this is a great opportunity actually to have different people sit in the spot and even in my spot over these next few weeks. So because I think it's really helpful if you guys get a chance to visit with different people in leadership, and so you have some sense of who's around, because you don't see each other as often, certainly not in the hallways like we used to as often. And also it'll give us a chance to give some people in the next levels of leadership some chance to take this on as well. Because in fact, we've been doing this long enough that it doesn't have to be a one-person show. So expect that you'll see people coming in and out of this thing. Second, as you know, questions as you have them about anything we're talking about, you can certainly throw into the chat room. We'll try to get them if we can today. And with all that, let's get hopping. First thing we usually do is good news and updates. And so I'll do a couple, and then I'll let Tyrone do it. And by the way, matter of fact, Tyrone, why don't you start out with a couple of them?
Sure.
This is
a lot of pressure here, you know.
And by the way, just from a 1 to 10, anytime during the course of this thing, if Tyrone's talking, you can just throw on a number from 1 to 10 about how well you think he's doing or not. So like, let's say he flubs something, just like throw a 3 in there. Let him know. Because this is good. Oh no! If you're doing really well, just throw a 10 in there so you know. See that? Okay.
Danielle, yes.
Danielle, you little sucker.
Jaria. See, thank you. I can even put on my Barry White voice. Oh yes.
Yeah, he's WKD. Go ahead, hit it.
All right. Just a few things. Let's see. I'll start here. We had 5 people from the admissions department graduate together with MSOL. Kate Liss, Renee Mermina, Emily Gitberg, Kayla McGill, and Bobella Daly, a 2020 grad. And also, dear incredible instructors.
This is a letter from a student.
Yes. Dear incredible instructors, amidst the whirlwind of our current lives, I wanted to reach out to all of you and say thank you. Thank you for your belief in us as students and your ability to adapt to the insanity that was 2020. Thank you for your dedication and patience, even when we as a class taxed your limits. Most of all, thank you for being there with me during this new adventure. I have passed my NCLEX exam and accepted a position in the Waterbury Hospital's emergency department. And bravo, bravo, bravo.
One more of those. Dear Dr. Friday, to Vivian, I have passed the NCLEX, not the NCLEX. I will be working at Hospital for Special Care New Britain, perhaps in cardiac medical or rehab unit. Since this hospital paid my tuition expenses, I decided to stay here for a couple of years. In the future, if you help on anything, I will be your point of contact. You don't know how much I owe you. You helped me so much to have a better life and a job. God bless you and your families. You can do another one.
Sure. Taylor Perry gave birth to a baby boy on May 8th. The name is Jace.
You just got a 3 for that. I don't know what happened.
Oh, I'll try another one.
Go ahead.
Goodwin is recognized as a best for vet school by Military Times. That worth a 9?
No, okay. Nothing.
Oh, so nothing.
2.
2.
Allison Miskey is quoted in an article. Technology aids university transfer students, but human connection is the key. In the 619 edition of EdScoop. EdScoop, I just can't get through a month without seeing my EdScoop magazine. Article talks not only about our flexible transfer program, but the critical interpersonal piece that supports our student success. Congratulations, Allison.
Well, I definitely want to do this one.
Go ahead.
To our girl, Lisa Wisniewski, was elected as the new VP for Faculty Senate. Congratulations,
Go, Lisa.
Yes.
Yeah, Lisa, we were afraid that some of those other guys would get elected and it wouldn't be as good as you, but now I'm making that up. I just got nothing. Congratulations, Lisa, truly. Here's also a shout out to Josh Jones in IT for all the work he did with the Hartford Consortium and just in general. He's been doing an incredible job. I thank him very much. And also a shout out to the accounting team, which I'll give you guys a little more of a shout out later on for, because I know what that's about, and I know it comes up later in this process. Why don't you go to some of the grants news?
Sure. Let's see here. So, really awesome news. Since our last town hall, the grants office has been awarded over $300,000 in grants. That is awesome. $50,000 from Bank of America for scholarships for 15 graduating Hartford Public High School and CTRA students to finish the eCamp program over the summer and fall to receive the full 37 credit CNC certificate.
Well done. Keep going.
$35,000 from the Nutmeg Foundation and the Hartford Foundation for public giving to assist with the first ever 2-week summer eCamp program, bringing together high school students from Hartford and suburban areas. The program has 2 parts: cultural component, look at the role of people of color in STEM, and participate in workshops on cultural awareness and competency. Project-based learning component. Students will work on projects in computer science, robotics, engineering, and advanced manufacturing.
And this last one is the most important one for you to talk about because it has to do with the program you're just kicking off.
Oh, I can't wait. So, kudos and 5 thumbs up, if I had 5 thumbs up, to Sandra Ward and her team. We have been given a $240,000 grant from the Connecticut Office of Higher Education, CONCAP. We will be serving about 100 students over the course of this year. And just sort of give you a little idea, we're going to be working with college awareness, college readiness activities, college tours, and it's going to be a 6-week residential summer program for 36 students beginning July the 12th. This will help build a stronger pipeline of Hartford students and surrounding areas to Goodwin University. This grant is renewable for an additional 2 years as well, and we're really excited. And I just want to sort of do a shout out to all the individuals that are watching. If you have students who are juniors, presently juniors, rising seniors in high school, we really encourage you. We take referrals. We want to get as many students as we can in the program, and we're going to be dealing with personal branding, also personal development, networking, all that lovely stuff. And if you're interested, please go on our website. You will also see the Goodwin Collegiate Prep Program. That's what it's called. You can't see that from here unless you really scroll out. But Goodwin Collegiate Prep Program. The first 6 weeks is actually called the Goodwin Youth Leadership Institute, which is called GILLY. And many of your colleagues are going to be involved. And we're looking forward to having as many people from the Goodwin community support this. So refer. If you have any questions, give me a call or Ariel Robinson.
Tell us again, who do they got to refer? The people from high school? Or
you know that child that's in your house right now that you're wondering, what can I do with my junior or senior for 6 weeks during the summer? This is the opportunity to send that person to this Goodwin University, Goodwin College Prep Program. If you know of any families that are interested in this, again, refer them to our website and look up Goodwin Collegiate Prep Program. And it gives you all the information right there.
Super. So I'll take the next one. You have to move your microphone. They're telling you over here a little bit. See over here. So another great piece of news from Sandra's house is that we have been given a $1 million state bonding grant. And the purpose of this grant is to open up satellite locations, training centers within the city of Hartford in the manufacturing area, welding, manufacturing, CNC, and perhaps some other programs. Essentially what they're going to do is they're going to create the first part of our program inside the local communities, inside the neighborhoods, so that people can try these things out, get a little bit of confidence, and then move them directly over into the home campus again. By doing it this way, we don't have to build entire infrastructure in Hartford, but rather just introductory classes. And so it's a great collaboration. A special thanks to Cliff and his team for turning around a grant opportunity in no time, and everybody in government affairs and in grants for making this thing happen. It's really very, very quick order. And now I'd like to give you a little bit of news of different things. Summer enrollment from last year is pretty much flat, but flat is at least we're stable. June was down a few people, but September right now is up about 31 people. So we're holding ourselves pretty well, and we're happy about that. I feel like I have to say this only because I want to make sure it is close to mind. But we are having raises this year. As soon as everything comes around, our plan is still strong that we are going to make sure that we're taking care of you guys. And again, a special thanks for putting up with us last year, because we got through it. There was I was on a meeting this morning with the Hartford Consortium of Higher Education, which is all the presidents of the local schools, and the question came up: what are they all doing with vaccines? And some of what I'm telling you will not be in the paper quite yet, but for the most part, almost every school in the region is requiring vaccines for all students by the fall. And the state universities have talked about it in their subcommittees, but even Central and all the rest of them are going to be saying that sometime later. What they're really doing is they're saying everyone has to have a vaccine for students, and then they're being somewhat liberal about, or relatively liberal about, what could be a reason why not to get it yet. And so there's a number of cases where people are going to put it off, but by and large, the trend is that they're pushing very hard for it. One of the things that they mentioned was, the current vaccine got emergency approval, so it got rushed through pretty fast, as we all know. And so they basically have said is when the FDA fully approves it, which no one knows exactly what that is, that there's a really likelihood that they'll make that a more stringent requirement, so that at that point, it'll be like an MMR. So you just have to get that vaccine done when you come to school, period. So just to let you guys sort of know what the trend seems to be out there, even though there's no change in what we're doing. We're trying to shift this in as slowly as possible so that we're not, straining people unnecessarily. Next thing I wanted to do is, last time we spoke was just after the University of Bridgeport closing. And frankly, I was in a bit of a frantic state trying to get done with everything that we were required to do on a timeline that day. I think we all were. But in that, I really do apologize for anyone that I missed in thanking people that were behind this thing. There was so much work to be done by everybody. I was given a thank you script by folks, and I'm sure it didn't include everybody. And so I wanted to, I neglected to mention some of you guys that I know have done an awful lot. I know you guys in the OIE staff were amazing. I've mentioned over the last couple of months, you actually got through 13 separate program accreditors and all of our regular accreditors. And there were over 20 separate program accreditor approvals that had to be gotten, which is not considered possible. We actually, when we talk to our federal regulatory attorneys, they oftentimes do this for institutions going through this, and they actually declined to do it because they didn't think it was possible. They didn't want to embarrass themselves. And our team over there actually showed them the way. That they were astonished. I want to thank the student affairs team, because you guys are managing lots of conversations over there, and you're also managing a lot of the current UB and prospective students when there was a gap and we were just filling in people. So we recognize that. And in human resources, I don't know, it isn't like they're not normally busy, but when all that came on, they had to onboard 400 employees with their benefits, the rebuilding of an entire infrastructure of HR, over 750 employees, including adjuncts and all that happened at the same time. So what they did was, it's sort of building an entire institution from scratch, and putting up with every one of those people many times who needed to have, personal conversations and things like that. So you guys did a just incredible job. And I mentioned accounting and finance. When you do one of these things, there's a requirement that you do what's called a same-day audit. So on the day of the change, you have to audit all the balance sheets for the federal government, which they are in the process of doing now. But they're doing it while they're transitioning on brand new team members, and while the senior leadership is picking up more responsibilities. So the whole entire finance department has been punching way above their weight class, and you would not have known it, but for me mentioning it, because it just happens. The economic and strategic development team has been managing not only the legal aspects of the transaction, because it's astonishing. I know Todd and his team are constantly going through 60-page documents word by word to make sure there are no, secret presence for us there, but also dovetails that with the finance team, got the DECD money of $7.5 million through to help with the transaction. And more than anything else, or as much as anything else, all those relationships with people we don't really know down in Bridgeport had to be managed. So they did an amazing thing. In grants, not only we mentioned all the grants that have been gotten up here, there's also been grants rolling into UB because of the collaboration between the two institutions. And so Sandra and her team have been amazing. So while all this was happening, every one of the facilities down at UB had to be valued. We had to appraise many properties, still more to go, but we had to know what they were worth. We had to know what was the, again, secrets that might be lurking there as far as environmental issues and how much deferred maintenance might be there. And facilities was instrumental. We acquired 80 separate properties. If you could just get your hands around that in the last couple of months, all looked at the same time. The IT team, totally different animals at each campus, had to be gotten to a point where they could understand each other. There's still more to be done, but everybody's still operating, even though we're on different systems. And even though during the course of this year, we will be transitioning so that we're all getting to look more like each other. In the process, where especially when we weren't, those guys did not let anything drop, and they also covered a lot of things that may have felt had gone off. There's a thing down there called the Bridgeport Next Fund, and our development team have been able to dovetail with them down there. We actually are learning some from the Bridgeport team, who is used to asking wealthy donors for money with a lot more history than we have. And Hannah and her team have done a brilliant job, and they've raised over $1 million down there just in the last couple of months for the Bridgeport Next Fund. And I know that I still missed a lot of people because I don't know anybody who was not touched by this, but I just want to make sure that I am not remiss in the speed of the moment to make sure that everyone knows that this could not have happened, but for the team that we have here at Goodwin, this could not have happened. It's still astonishing to people that we ever got this far. And I don't know if I knew what this was going to do to everybody if I would have taken it on quite. This was a breathtaking thing that came to us little by little. So I just want to express my appreciation to everybody. It's been amazing. The next thing on my schedule is to talk about the Juneteenth holiday.
Yes.
That was not really strong endorsement of the Juneteenth holiday.
Oh,
I want to say that. So, the Juneteenth holiday was actually brought up to us, we were reminded of some months ago to find out what we were doing and how we were going to properly celebrate it. And I give credit to a couple of guys out there, Nicole Miller in particular, who actually took it, and a whole team of people that was working with her to make sure that there were meaningful things that were coming out of this holiday. And we recognize that this is sort of the equivalent for the country of what maybe July 4th is looked at. And so it's wonderful that this holiday is getting the recognition that perhaps it was always deserved to have. I know that there's been a lot of things that we have been doing as a group. I know a lot of it's online, but Nicole, Brittany, Yancey, and other members of the faculty and staff made all that happen, and we're just very appreciative to them. And at 3 o'clock today, if I understand right, Joe Biden's going to sign into law Juneteenth as a new federal holiday. So that's absolutely, it's amazing and astonishing. And so on one hand, I'm so excited about this only happening 100 years too late. But on the other hand, as someone who's running an organization, I say, oh my God, so what are you saying exactly? Oh, Juneteenth will be a holiday, which is on Saturday. And normally with federal holidays, as you know, there's a day off that's involved somewhere. And, a normal federal holiday, that would be Friday or Monday. Nothing's in place for anybody. We've called almost every school in the area, and everyone has said, yes, we're excited about this. In 2022, it'll be recognized on the books, and we'll adjust to make that happen. So while I'm really excited about it, everyone's got their appointments for that day, whichever day we've gotten picked. So no one that I know of is actually suddenly telling everybody to go home tomorrow because no one's set up for it. But I'm trying to just lean into the fact that it's happened. It will happen going forward, and I'm very happy that the federal government caught up with what the rest of the world has sort of known all along. Also in DEI news, there's a thing that's occurred in the New England Board of Higher Education called the North Star Project. What they're doing is that they have found that in New England and in almost every state in New England, and certainly in Connecticut, we still have a shortage in the staff and faculty side of people of color, especially compared to what our students look like. And we're not alone. And actually, in many ways, some of our numbers are better than some places, which only makes me sadder, actually. But one of the things they know in keeping strong faculty and staff is to create communities of people of color so that they are supported in what they do. And those communities can happen internally or externally. So what the New England Board of Higher Education, which I serve on, has been doing is trying to put together communities, and they were doing it, throughout the region. I have petitioned the Hartford Consortium of Higher Education, the 8 or so schools of ourselves right in this area, and I have offered Goodwin to take a leading role in actually putting together all of the DEI officers, but also to create communities so that people that are working for all these organizations of color can have things that they are doing to support each other region-wide and not just internally. And there's also great programming that's happening everywhere. With us all together, my guess is that we can afford to bring in better and more provocative speakers. And certainly the supports that we could put in place could be more thoughtful and more universal. So I'm happy to announce that and let you know that's happening in real life. And again, I do offer that as we're going, if anybody has questions, to go ahead and let us know that. You want to do advancement news?
Sure.
Just for Goodwin?
Sure. So, raised over $101,000 at the June 11th clam bake. And I know what you're already thinking about the silent auction. We'll just leave that offline.
Yeah, by the way, that $101,000 of the clam bake, it's been estimated that $41,000 of that came from Tyrone Black in the auction. And so I mean, I got to give him credit for that because he would. So here's my thing. Tyrone is a bishop. He doesn't curse. He doesn't drink. But I didn't see anything about gambling in the so I think this is a form of gambling and another thing that we're going to have to just deal with. But apart from all that,
Ray, I see you, Ray.
All the stupid things that I'm saying at this point, the advancement team did an incredible good job.
Yes.
Karen Gilbert, Joanna Stefano, and Hannah Branfield. I got to tell you, great work. And this is by far much more money than we've ever made at a clam bake. It's over $20,000 more from the last time we did it before COVID. And I also want to say thanks to the faculty and staff for your employee generosity. Over 40% of you give money every year now, scholarship fundraising efforts. And so we're always going to nudge you to ask more people to do it, but I do not want to stop without at least acknowledging and thanking you for the fact that you guys give of yourselves, and it makes a difference. It makes a huge difference. Yes, Michelle, great job to the foundation team. Now we'll go to the questions and comments that we've gotten so far. And again, please, don't be afraid to add more to this. One is a dated comment, because you can tell how long it's been. And it is, if staff attends graduation, will they be given 4 hours to use in a week like in years past? And I think we already shot that out, and those that were there got the 4 hours, and I think that made that's sort of not an issue. So happy to mention that. Next one was not a question, but a statement. Prior to the semester break, a question was asked about staff working from home during the break, and the answer was that it would be allowed if it was approved by your supervisor. From what I understand, no department was able to work from home. Since there were no students on campus during the break, I'm not sure why staff weren't able to work remotely. Whoever wrote this is actually wrong. People did work from home. And it may be that in your space, it didn't. Largely the ones that don't work from home, at least historically, the issue has been student-facing departments who were most active during the break. But we've been as flexible as we can. And I think that some departments will continue to be flexible as much as they can going forward. It is, it's worth mentioning that we understand that there's a lot of trepidation out there still about people coming back to work, especially in student-facing department, because even if I can tell you that everybody in your department is all vaccinated, I can't tell you whether the kid coming in from outside is. I can't tell you if someone's coming in for a appointment is. We're trying to be as flexible as we can and still continue to run an operation. We have learned a lot about the fact that we can run much of what we do while still being doing it from home. I think that is the case, and so I know each supervisor has some degree of flexibility in making this work. And in some cases, it will be difficult. If you're teaching a class that's only offered online, I don't know how you do it unless it's only offered on ground, unless you're on ground as well. So there are limitations to that, but we're very sensitive to this because we understand that it's difficult. And we're not the only school. It's interesting that most of the schools that we've talked to have had a pretty hard shell about this. I know that most of the state schools, they're either already on ground or by July 1st, everyone is in-house. I have to also mention that in a lot of those schools, their attendance and enrollment fell off to nothing because they were having such trouble doing their work in a remote fashion. A lot of our guys are doing it really, really well. So if we can be supportive of that, we will try to. If it's a matter that you're going to come to work, X number of days per week, or if it's something that's happening, we'll try to be helpful. At the same time, some stuff has to be done here, and I can't help that. So understand that it's not punitive at all. I'm very sensitive to it, but we also have to. Someday we'll be back to normal, and I know that there's almost a discomfort about the possibility. So I ask you to work with us as best you can. We have such a good staff. I don't want to have anybody getting nervous or saying I can't go back there again. We'll try to work with you. We really will. I'm trying my best. Next point, which is critical, a new Dairy Queen opening up in Glastonbury at 2834 Main Street in the old Boston Market. And I wasn't going to even read that because it's obviously someone who owns a piece of the Dairy Queen up in Glastonbury. But I decided to take the high road, and I went to the place myself, and I had a Buster Bar, and it was lovely. So I got to give the credit to all the Buster Bar lovers out there that there's a new Dairy Queen in Glastonbury. And I didn't go to Boston Market all that much, so I think it's Nicole Mill, must be Martin Levine. Yeah. I could have put money on that too, Nicole. I think you're probably right. The last one is a long question, but I'll read a part of it, but I'll get to where we really are. During the last call, the topic of paid time off came up, and it was mentioned that management views this as a one pot of time. No one wants to use their paid time to stay home sick, least of all their vacation time. with people now having the ability to work from home, is the university willing to consider allowing remote work in situations where a staff member is home with a sick child or is sick themselves but still able to work? And it goes on to a lot of different avenues. I'll tell you, I believe that this year, geez, Rich, okay, first of all, I'll be bringing in Buster Bars next time I see you. I have to tell you that I believe that this year is going to be a watershed year for us in terms of looking at benefits. We sort of have to. And so I don't want to promise anything because I don't know. I'm hoping that the moment comes when UB and us are added together where we have opportunities perhaps to relook at things to see if we can get any savings on some of these plans with a larger group of people. And with that, there could be some savings there. We can relook at how things lay out amongst a couple of different things that are out there for benefits. But I just want to know that that as much as possible, this is sort of another version of the same conversation. The conversation is, really, can we work from home, and is that considered to be as okay as working there? There's a conversation behind the conversation here about, well, what if, because when people have sick time, it's done on an honor system here. We don't go and check to make sure you're bringing a note the next day that you were sick somehow. And so we try to make sure there's enough time for that. But in the process, we may be creating trepidation as well as to how we're labeling time. So we just want to take a beat and try to have this and try to have it to you. So before benefits come out later this year, we'll have some answers to what these things are. But I wanted to let you know that we are internally aware, and adding UB, I think, accentuated it, that we have to look at some of our benefit programs to see how we can make them more responsive to you. And as part of that, we'll probably be surveying you, because I've learned over the years that sometimes we think we have a brilliant idea of something that you would love. And in fact, no one cares about it. And so it's like, hey, so that was a dumb use of money. That's precious. Let's make sure that whatever we're using it for are things that will be most helpful to you. But we hear you loud and clear. We think that this is something that we have to get better at. Jean, is there anything else you want to mention to that? I've sort of...
Not a ton to add, Mark, only just to add sort of a little perspective that, it's not fun when if you have paid time off and you need to use it because you're sick. I do want to, acknowledge, though, that that's what paid time off in some cases is for to go off and have a good time and to relax and unwind. And sometimes it's to, recuperate if we're not well or if we have to take care of a sick loved one. I think part of what we're mindful of as we think about this question is the idea of how much time can we have, how much sick time can we have that is set aside for things like that, as opposed to dipping into the time that we'd like to use to do the things that we enjoy. And so that's part of what Mark would like us to look at. And so know that we definitely hear and understand the spirit of the question, and we will try to get more information from you through surveys just to make sure that whatever we come up with makes sense.
Jean, well, I had to have you on. We talked earlier about reimbursement or class, what it might cost to go for dependency. How does UB fit into our program for self-independent taking classes now?
Yes. So firstly, I have to say, I'm happy to answer this question, but I was kind of hoping you would do like a woman on the street, like turn it over to your correspondent, and you kind of didn't do that. So it's fine. But I'm, now I'm just kind of. So, hi, everyone. So I have in my hands actually a updated tuition benefit policy. And so we're planning to publish that next week. But here are the things that you can know now, just to ease some important questions that a lot of you have. One, we are adopting Goodwin's tuition programs. Everything that we do for our current programs, we're adopting them for UB. Our program is actually more generous than what they currently have at UB. So today we have undergraduate, everyone gets tuition remission, both full-time employees, their spouses, and their dependents. Adjuncts get 50%, magnet school gets 50%. At the graduate level, if you've ever been involved with the graduate programs here at Goodwin, you actually could be eligible for a 100% tuition scholarship. We do it on a space available basis because we need to ensure we have a proper mix of internal Goodwin people and external cash payers. And then everyone else, your spouses, your dependents can go over 50%. So the thing that I want you to know is that if you are interested in exploring academic programs at UB, know that you can use the same approach. So if you want to enroll in a master's program for the fall, reach out to Natasha Shakar. This will be in the information you get next week as well. Go through the process of applying for the graduate program, but reach out to Natasha so that she can know that you are interested in the scholarship. And once she confirms that there is space available for the scholarship, you'll be notified in writing that you have this scholarship that will last for the duration of your time in the program. So that's the short answer. And we also will allow UB employees to access our programs here in the same way. What we have not figured out just yet is how doctoral programs will be covered. So that is still something we're working through. And so if that's something you're interested in, stay tuned. We do still have the doctoral assistance program in general, but with respect to tuition programs at UB for doctoral program, we're still working that out. So if you're interested in programs, you can get the ball rolling because I know the summer is starting to run short.
Right, exactly. And Jeff, that's exactly your question. We've gotten this far, which I was happy with. The PhD program, certainly you have a doctoral assistance program that we currently have here that you can apply to it. And we're trying to see if we can either supplant that or look at how that works with this model at the same time. So we haven't forgotten about that. We just need a little bit more time to make sure that we haven't created a monster for ourselves. So we will get back to you on that, I promise. And Michelle has asked an update on the strategic plan and how DEI is incorporated into it. Michelle, the strategic plan, the board has made a call that it is going to restart the strategic plan given how different the world looks post-COVID and with you being in tow. So they're starting that this fall, and I'm sure DEI would be incorporated into it without question because it is central, of course. So that's the questions I have. Any more questions that have come up in the meantime?
I have a question, and you may have answered it. I just got out of class, but one of the students that lives in New York in the nursing program, she's very concerned about coming back in the fall and wanted to know, are we going to have the students 6 feet apart? And so who should that student talk to?
Are you talking about here or UB in the way you discussed that?
Oh, she's part of the ABSN program. So she's part of Goodwin. So
Okay.
her concern is apparently in New York is not socially distancing. She's very concerned that she's going to be required to come on ground in the fall.
There's a modified social distancing guideline that we've been going to at this point where it's been reduced from 6 foot to 3 foot at this point, if I'm not mistaken. But as far as talking to someone, which is really what you're asking,
yeah,
it's a student. Look at Ray says correct. Ray, like a blind squirrel, I can do it sometimes. But I would actually have her talk to Tyrone as an existing student rather than to Ray or anybody else. And Tyrone can make sure she's directed at the right person. Someone's getting back to her. Okay. That's like the best place to go.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Robin. Thank you for picking it up. And I know that it's summertime again, and a summertime in a place that's not totally, things are not totally settled. So, you can expect we'll be working this summer with a plan again to reaching out to students to make sure that they are fine and comfortable and coming back. Like the student that you're talking about, Robin, I think people just need to have a hand out to them so they know what's going on, and give them a little more comfort. Things have been working out really well. We're keeping our student body in place and comfortable. We don't want to take anything for granted. So we want to make sure we are honoring them and honoring any of the questions and concerns they may have. So we don't find out about it just by them not showing up at some point. So thank you.
Mark?
Yes.
It's Pam Walker. I just kind of wanted to do a follow-up with Robin's question. Because this new what you just said about us being in classroom, they would be at 3 feet apart, social distancing. And my understanding from previous meetings that there was not going to be any social distancing in the classrooms. And I'm concerned about the fact that the room that I have a class in, with the number of students that I have, there's not going to be a way to socially distance 3 feet apart. As it is, only 22 people can be in room 310 at the current social distancing. And that can, I think, impact what we're planning with our students for the fall, because this seems to be a new thing that I hadn't heard before.
Okay, so as I said, I know the 3 foot number was a number that we've certainly discussed, and if I can, let me get back to you. My gut is that you might be having to move your space to someplace that allows for that kind of leeway. So you guys need to know this, especially if you're actually the ones that are scheduling out classes. So with permission, let me see if I can't get back to the whole community with any clarification that may need to be there, if that's okay. So I appreciate that.
Great, thank you very much.
And I'll go to you too, Elizabeth, when it goes out, and unless you don't have an email address, you'll get it as well. Any other questions? Well, guys, it's 2:41. I will tell you also, you just got in the last week printout of like days to hold for these meetings, even going out through to the end of the year, so they can get on your calendar. I will tell you now that if we all do get back on campus, and that happens, there is an opportunity that we might not do this as often. If we have a community day in person, we probably won't be doing a town hall like this that same time, and we'll probably push some of them off. So you've gotten that because we want to make sure we lock them out, but I want you to know that it's possible that we will not have all of them. I want to mention that right up front so that people don't think something wrong happened or there's something unusual. We just want to make sure they were blocked out so they didn't create havoc by hearing about them last minute. So know that we may make some changes to that as it happens. And besides that, it is a beautiful day outside. It is almost officially summertime. I'd like you guys to enjoy what you can. And I thank you all for being here. I thank you all for hanging in there, and we will get through this together. So thank you guys. Have a great day. Be safe.